Hello, everyone. Welcome to Out Comes the Sun radio and podcast on Dash, on iTunes, on Spotify, on Dash. I said Dash. On Dash. Dash, dash, dash,
Wherever you
dash.
can find us.
Wherever you can find us. And this is Melissa Yamaguchi, my amazing and wonderful co-host. Well, so today, gosh, we have so much. There's so much going on in the world. What are we?
I'll tell you something I discovered that was great. I want to apologize before we get starting. I may be grimacing, making faces, twisting my face, contorting it sometimes when we're in the middle of talking. I don't want to throw you off, my friend. I had some dental work done, and so my teeth are just like screaming at me as I talk. So if I put my lips over my teeth like I'm faking not having any, just ignore me. I'll tell you something that's really cool that I found that I was just reading about.
Yeah.
We know that exercise can help with the physical body and with cognitive decline. We know stave off cognitive decline. We've learned about that. We even had a choreographer on one time who's got her dance program put together, movement program. So we talked about this at length. But increasing research is finding that Tai Chi helps boost your memory. In particular, there's a form of Tai Chi Quan, which is a slower moving Tai Chi, which, if done consistently 2 to 3 times a week, in 6 months will raise your cognitive memory points 1.5 to 2 points and can push your life expectancy forward 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah. On the second,
a really good friend that teaches Tai Chi. That's amazing.
Oh, that's amazing.
No, she teaches Qigong. Excuse me. Whoops. Anyway,
once we start putting 2 words together, it's all the same. So the other thing is, wow. there's a form of Tai Chi Quan, Quan, that is strong, that is more intense, that has more of it's kind of a ramped up version of it. And that can take your points up to 3 points and push your life expectancy up to 6 extra years. Now, what makes it more intense is that while you're performing the Tai Chi, the instructor will have you spell words backwards.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Nice. Right.
Yeah. So I'd have to think about that.
I did too. I was
like, can you throw out the word Bob? Because then I'll be fine. I got Bob.
My goodness, that's interesting.
It's fascinating.
It is fascinating,
right? Move that body. Move that body.
Move your body. Well, and I'm a big believer that I never learn things unless I've got motion. And I'm sure that it was why I struggled in school, seated at a desk, not being able to move. And I wasn't hyperactive. It's not now I know, however many years I've been on this planet, I figured out that my ability to process comes through physicality. I process information better in movement. That's interesting. I find that fascinating. I love all that.
I do too. It's good stuff. And the more that we can bring awareness through whatever it is that will help people with their mental health. When I was at the dentist this morning, I was talking to the ladies in the front office about their understanding of the correlation between good dental hygiene and cognitive ability. And they said, oh yeah. They said, listen, the bottom line is this. If you've lost teeth, or you're missing some teeth in your head, it's better to get a partial. It's better to get dentures, because having something in the mouth is better than having nothing. Having no teeth in the head increases probability of cognitive decline.
Interesting. I would suspect because they're, all the meridians of your entire body are connected to the teeth.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, in Chinese medicine, all of those all those things are connected. Connected to each organ, to each quadrant of the body. So it makes sense that you not having teeth is not a good thing.
They said dentures, partials. That's better than. I mean, you think, oh, well, what about an older person who's lost?
So it must be the pressure.
The pressure. It's the pressure.
that is necessary to activate those. It's so interesting. I mean, we're such a puzzle piece, right? You know,
Right.
you take one of the pieces out and then things aren't going to
It's
work.
like Jenga. We're like human Jenga.
Yeah, there you go.
A tooth comes out and the whole brain falls through the roof of the mouth. They said that you know, I said, what happens when you've got like grandmas and grandpas who lose the majority of their teeth? And they said dentures. Dentures are better than nothing. And I said, yeah, I mean, it's a better look too. So that you got that going for you.
I'm just thinking about, it's just so funny. We have an acquaintance, Bobby and I, in Idaho, and he hasn't had teeth like in a long time. And I have to say his cognitive abilities are not of the utmost, you know, whatever. It's not good.
No,
And,
it's
and
not
it
good.
makes sense. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he has not like, I don't think he has any teeth on his on the top. Like, I don't know why.
This is a person, you know?
This is a person. I don't know why he's never gotten anything. Somebody must have told him it was better to have nothing, you know, than get fake things or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'll tell you something.
That's
They talked about in it, one of the reasons why I suspect, Mariel, is because we know the importance of mastication, of
yes.
chewing your food, chewing it. So if you don't have anything in there, you're not able to chew,
No,
right? You're gumming, and gumming
absolutely.
is not that. First of all, so we talked about the three brains: the one in between your ears, the one in your chest, the one in your stomach, your gut. So if
Yeah.
you're masticating, then the food is not being absorbed fully in your gut. So your gut
Yeah.
microbiome, it's all like you said, it's the
It's
puzzle.
all just this. I mean, we're such an orchestra, right? We're so
Exactly. I like that word.
incredibly, yeah. I love that idea. I mean, yeah, it makes so much sense. You can't, well, you know, dental health. Bobby and I talked about it in a book that we wrote. I mean, dental health is so key to, and heart disease.
Yes.
People don't realize the plaque you get off your teeth when you know,
Yeah.
floss, you know, do a water pick, whatever you do to get that off. It's so important. It builds up. We don't, otherwise we're just re-ingesting it, and you know, and that bacteria it causes heart issues. Ooh,
Come
no,
on, man. Can we
come
talk
on.
about Tai Chi again? Oh, I just got a little nauseous.
Good. No, this aging thing, it ain't no joke.
Listen, there's a reason they call it the hollers. I think that when people weren't taking care of their teeth, they're like, "You stand over across the field, Ed. I'll just holler at you. You don't get any closer. Your breath stinks." How you doing, Ed? I'm doing all right. Well, that's good. Stay over there.
You know, I'm trying to think. It's very interesting because I'm trying to think. We had a dog. You remember Bindu? Bindu
Yes.
was a little Yorkie, and he lived to almost to his 22nd birthday, literally. I mean, it was like amazing. He was amazing, but he had no teeth. And when the teeth were removed, and apparently some small dogs benefit
Yeah.
from this, but his, I mean, I think probably, I don't know. I think it must be different for dogs because it actually helped him with, remember how greasy he was? But once his
Yes.
teeth were removed, he had no more problems. It must be different with animals. But I know that, you know, our dog Tree, who died of cancer, we couldn't get his, during COVID, we couldn't find anybody that could clean his teeth, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it was, we were in Idaho, and he didn't get his teeth clean, and he was slowing down. We found all this cancer everywhere, and it was correlated to, he had not gotten his teeth clean. And I feel so horrible that I didn't just like do it myself or something. Anyway, but that bacteria had gone all through his body. So it's clear that when, you know, you don't take care of your teeth, it causes a whole host of problems that
Exactly
people
right.
realize.
Exactly right.
Yeah, so please take care of your teeth and let's talk about Tai Chi again.
Yeah. Take care of your teeth and learn some Tai Chi. And if you want to know Mariel's friend, learn Qigong at the same time.
Qigong's supposed to be incredibly good for you. There's a lot because it's a movement of energy. It's very different. I don't practice it, and but I've done it with my friend a few times, and it's a fascinating movement because it's all based on trying to be really mindful in movement.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really what yoga's supposed to be, but yoga has become this athletic kind of like, whatever. And I think people do it without the proper intention because it is supposed to be
Yeah.
about breath and movement and how that is all interconnected and how you can be present through movement and breath. But there's certain parts of Qigong, which I'm sure is like Tai Chi. It's like moving energy. I mean, you must
Yes,
know
absolutely.
about it's incredible. It's quite incredible, and people heal themselves of all kinds of things.
We don't realize we're doing it when we're holding our babies on our hips and we're
Yeah.
swaying as we're holding the baby, which is so good for our entire body after you've given birth.
Yeah.
It's the rhythmic moving and put what it's doing to your uterus and what it's doing to your entire body. It's so
Oh,
huge.
that's so interesting that you say that because Dree, my daughter Dree, I have a daughter and she has a baby, and they were up here. They spent the night at our new home up here in the mountains, and I picked up the baby and I was holding the baby for a while, right? And I was like, damn, this baby's heavy. She's like, and Drew is holding, she's 18 pounds now. She's holding this baby all day long, right? And she's like swaying back and forth and all that stuff. She's like, I don't notice it anymore. I said, it's amazing how, as a mom, we accumulate these different things, but she's also doing those motions. It's like a natural thing. It's the way mothers return to normal because that 9 months of gestation and really recovering from the birth is, they always say it takes 9 months to really for your body to recover, and then of course you're not sleeping as much, so
Yeah.
there's all kinds of
I think it takes almost 18 years if somebody needs to be really honest.
exactly. It's so
9
true.
months.
I know, right? 9 months. I know. Well, we're not talking about all kinds of different recovery. That's all about did you recover from your childhood trauma? And are you giving it? Oh my God. I see certain aspects of my girls and I like, oh, I did that. Oh, I definitely didn't clear that up first. Oh, they got a little of that going on. I don't blame them for being a little resentful. It's crazy. Oh my gosh. We have a really good guest today.
Absolutely.
We're talking to somebody I've actually been to where she works out of, and she does a lot of really cool work with mental health. She's doing a regenerative therapies and skin therapies and all kinds of stuff. She does a lot of work with stem cells.
Mhm.
Yeah, she's fascinating. Dr. Joy Kong. She's going to be very interesting for us both to talk to.
Absolutely.
I went in and got a treatment by somebody that works with her called Photona, which is I should have her explain it, but it's laser and heat and I think I think if I don't have this wrong, bioresonance as well. So frequency
Yes.
too. And wow, it was really effective. Really, really cool. So that was cool. But more importantly, back to mental health, not my face and the look of my skin, which I'm enjoying right now. But she does a lot of work with ketamine. She she educates other physicians on the principles of implementation of regenerative medicine. So I love that idea. I love when good good Western doctors get involved in this whole idea that, the holistic viewpoint, which is really looking at the whole of everything, like when you're looking at healthy alternatives versus just the kind of, chemical, medicines.
Absolutely.
It's very cool. And so she's doing a lot of really interesting work. It was training at the UCLA School of Medicine. I'm excited to talk to her.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear what she has to say. I'm intrigued by the regenerative medicine and all the different modalities of it, and
Absolutely.
I'm intrigued to find out because our bodies are so different
Yeah.
than our forefathers and our grandparents, our parents, because of all the things that we're doing now, at the computer desk or whatever. So I'm intrigued to
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
out. And also, we're much more sedentary. I'm
Yep.
intrigued to find out what all the regenerative medicine can do for us.
Absolutely.
As a mental health advocate and author, I love books. Books have the capacity to inspire, educate, transform, and ultimately help readers all over the world. So if you want to publish your book or if you need help writing your story, I highly recommend Mindstir Media, rated the #1 best book publisher around the country. Mindstir Media can help you no matter where you are in the book writing or publishing process. Go to mindstirmedia.com to learn more and schedule a consultation.
So welcome back, everybody, because we have such a great guest. I have had the great pleasure of meeting our guest, Dr. Joy Kong, and she is, well, I already described you in Melissa and I have a chat before we talk to our incredible guests. But yeah, you're such an amazing human being doing like really great stuff. And I was saying to Melissa that what I love is the fact that you're really combining this great knowledge of science and combining it with the whole idea of holistic medicine, and that, the idea that we're just parts of everything, right? We've got all these different things going on. Please explain to our audience really, what does that mean, regenerative medicine? What is that, what is that concept? A lot of you, it sounds like, oh, it might be this, but what is it exactly? And what are you teaching other doctors?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. No one has ever asked that to me before. I think regenerative, it really is counting on the body's ability to repair itself. So whatever you can do to trigger that innate capability. So make the body come alive and just work on itself. So you can use something as advanced as stem cells or exosomes. You can use something as simple and old as ozone. Ozone therapy has been around for, I don't know, at least 100 and something years. So yeah, whatever you can do to trigger that potential.
That's amazing. And so when you talk about stem cells, because I've always been a little hesitant about stem cells, especially when it comes from a huge, I don't know. I just feel like, well, maybe you should explain it so that I don't tell you my weird fears about stem cells, because I know they're extremely effective, but I also know done incorrectly, they can be very harmful, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, well, I don't know how harmful. I mean, there definitely could cause harm. So what I see as harm will come mostly from two sources. One is from the embryonic stem cells. That's where people found out about it. Really the vocabulary came about, the stem cells, because they realized, oh, so the embryo, when it's, of course, that's a quintessential stem cell. From that one stem cell, you can produce a full human. But in the process, when it was just first started, within the first week or so, the cells are so potent that each cell that you can obtain from this little ball of cells, each one can form a full human. So you can take that one cell out and then let it divide, and that cell has the potential to form cells of any organ. So that's the original stem cell therapy, utilizing embryonic stem cells. The problem with the embryonic stem cells is that it can form what's called teratoma. So uncontrolled growth of a cluster of cells from all kinds of tissues and organs, hair, teeth, and, other organs all bundled together. So it's uncontrolled growth, right? It's a tumor. So embryonic stem cells have that potential. And we've later discovered that we can turn a mature adult cell, like a skin cell, into an embryonic stem cell. So you can revert it back to the embryonic state. So then that cell, the skin cell, now will have all the potential to form cells of any organ, any tissue. But then it also has,
they won't cluster and turn into, and they
it
won't.
will. And that's the problem. That induced pluripotent stem cells. So that's the formal name of IPS. So these stem cells also can cause teratoma. So they can also cause uncontrolled growth. So we haven't figured out how exactly to control them, to harness them so they won't do that. So you've got all the potential, and all the potential can go awry. On the other hand, the other extreme is cells from your own body. You can get stem cells from your own body, right? Whatever your age is, we can get it from your fat, we can get from your bone marrow, so we can get those out. But these are more differentiated stem cells. Some of the cells we're getting that now is the most famous is mesenchymal stem cells. So these are kind of the gold standard, but you can also get hematopoietic progenitor cells, or in each of your organ, there are tissue specific stem cells. Liver has liver stem cells. So you can get, but let's just say mesenchymal stem cells, because that's what really people are going after these days. So you can take those out, even though they don't.
Your own body.
That's right, from your own body. So they don't have the, exactly, that you can get it from menstrual blood, from dental pulp. So you can get it from all kinds of places. But these cells, even though they don't have the potential to form teratoma, they have the potential to enhance tumor growth, because as adult cells, somehow they may have lost certain capabilities of recognizing cancer cells. Whereas the cells I'm using, which is umbilical cord sourced, is kind of the best of both worlds. And it's not as wild as the embryonic and induced pluripotent stem cells, but it also is smarter. It has some of the intelligence still in the cells that can recognize, oh, you are a cancer cell, so I need to kill you off. Wow. But if you are a good cell, then I'm going to help you grow. But older stem cells, like what's in your own body, I call it cellular dementia. It's almost like they got a little demented, lost some of their marbles, and they can't recognize, oh, this is a cancer cell. I need to send a different signal to tell them to die. So this is one reason I settled on using umbilical cord derived stem cells, because these cells won't cause new tumor and it won't promote existing cancers to grow. It actually can help kill them off. And it has been used for that purpose. In cancer research, has been shown to have a lot of anti-cancer properties.
And are you doing, what kind of stem cell therapies are you doing? Is it all across the board? Are you doing cancer?
Well,
like,
first of all, we're trying some territories here, as doctors,
Yeah.
There's some restraint on what we can say, because if there's no FDA approval for certain conditions, then we can't say, this can treat this condition. The only FDA approval for stem cell therapy is for hemoreconstitution, which means if we wiped out your immune system, like in the case of lymphoma, right, leukemia, or some autoimmune diseases, we can wipe out a person's entire immune system, radiation, whatever we need to do to get rid of their own bone marrow. And then we can transplant somebody else's. We can use an adult bone marrow, or we can use cord blood. So the compositions are very similar, but the adult bone marrow requires full matching. So even a perfectly matched adult bone marrow donation can lead to rejection. But what's interesting is the cord blood, even though it's very similar to the bone marrow as far as cell composition, it doesn't have that potential because it's so young, it's able to adapt to the recipient. But these are the only indications for stem cells. Everything else we're doing off-label. Well, like a lot of things in medicine, we're doing off-label. The cool thing is that we do have a lot of research. This is one reason I founded the Academy, American Academy of Integrative Cell Therapy, because I want to show people, the doctors, You don't just go around. I've heard some doctors, and this is really a miracle. This is it does all this and this. You can't just say it without any evidence. So we know how the cells work, but do they work for this condition? What about that condition? So I'm compiling the research from around the world, showing different conditions and what stem cells can do. Some are animal studies, some are human studies. So in those cases, I never say, because we still don't have FDA approval in all these conditions, right? Let's say osteoarthritis, lupus, traumatic brain injury, anywhere, you name it. So we don't have the FDA approval, but do we have clinical research evidence? Yes, we do. Most of medicine is practiced based on published literature. It's called evidence-based medicine. We'll talk about practice based on evidence. So that's the evidence I'm trying to provide to doctors. So have I seen incredible success in very diverse diseases? Yes. What I focus on is what are the research evidence and why the cells may work in this circumstance, because that comes to how the cells work. I've seen, if people are interested, they can go on the website aaict.org. So that's the Academy website. And there are all these case studies of real people, most of them are my patients, real people's cases of how they, were treated using stem cells and what the responses are. And the diseases, range from, I've treated people with all kinds of autoimmune conditions, people with, brain diseases, including multiple sclerosis and traumatic brain injury, ALS.
Only going to interrupt you because you brought up traumatic brain injury. And I think that's really important, especially for our show, because that we're kind of focused on mental health quite a bit. So explain to me that the effect that you've seen, and bring in your ketamine study, because you've done a lot of work for mental health too, right?
Yes. Yeah. I'm board certified, not only in anti-aging and regenerative medicine, but also in psychiatry and addiction medicine.
Wow. That's huge.
So I'm definitely very passionate about mental health. I mean, that's only what distinguished us, I guess, as humans, it's really fascinating. But for traumatic brain injury, I've seen great results for dementia, multiple sclerosis, some improvements in ALS, and I've seen it in Parkinson's. So definitely, stroke victims. So the cells, so for mental conditions, it helps fight inflammation. So that's one of the biggest, mechanisms is reduce inflammation. So much of what's going on with us, including addiction, is driven by neural inflammation. If you can calm the inflammation, a lot of times, the drive to keep drinking or to keep taking drugs is going away. It's fascinating. So reducing inflammation, shifting the immune system to something that's much more pro-repair than pro-inflammation. And then it can break down scar tissue. It can help regenerating blood vessels, so supplying oxygen and nutrients, right? And then it can help protect tissue that may receive signals of damage, like in stroke or crush injuries, the tissue that didn't get damaged all around it could end up getting signals and dying because the center was the damage, but the cells in the center are sending out signals to tell everybody else to die. That's when your immune system, it's going a little bit awry, it's overreactive. It's just, overzealous. And then the stem cells can also, like I mentioned, anti-cancer properties. And it can, it's really cool. I love the anti-fibrotic property, breaking down scar tissue. How many things do you know in medicine? Any doctor can really give you anything that can break down scar tissue, except for nowadays we have these energy medicine, laser technology. But breaking down scar tissue and also helping replenish mitochondria, because these new and young stem cells contain this new, young, fresh, pristine mitochondria, and they can actually donate their mitochondria to your other cells and elevating your cellular energy. So from all these mechanisms, that's how the stem cells can be very helpful.
I think one of the things that I'm most excited about when you're discussing is the reduction of inflammation, because we know that we are much more aware of cognitive decline, of dementia, Alzheimer's. So noting that there is something that is readily available to reduce the cognitive decline, or at least put it at a pause, at a permanent pause, if you will. So my question, two things. Number one, I want to get something on the record. I would like it noted for the record to the public, and I want this on when we have this coming out in script one day, that my fat stem cells have dementia and have forgotten how to create abs and skinnier thighs. I now know what the problem is. Number two, how do you determine when someone is suitable? What's the assessment process to determine if someone is suitable, like if they're not too far gone, if you will? That's a horrible phrase, but when someone is suitable to receive help with cognitive decline. And I would assume let me be more specific, because cognitive decline could be from drug addiction. If it's from an aging process, dementia, moving into Alzheimer's, what's the determination factor, Dr. Kong?
Yeah, first of all, I don't think anybody is too far gone. We've treated this gentleman who has severe dementia to the point of urinary and fecal incontinence, laying in a bed, not recognizing family, giving this person stem cells. Within 24 hours, he was getting up, urinating on his own, and his personality was returning, conversing with his family. So nobody's too far gone.
Oh, that is the best news I've heard in a long time.
That's
It's beautiful.
Yes, it is beautiful. I mean, imagine, at the end of, the person still could be at the end of their life, right?
Yes.
But
yes.
at least we're giving the family back the real person. And also for him, maybe he can say proper goodbyes.
Yes.
It's wonderful. That is so, thank you for that.
Yeah, that's touching. That's really touching.
Yeah. Do you do a lot of work with addicts for addiction? Do you do?
I haven't. I was a director of rehab centers, but I really, we can probably talk more about this at some point. I am not a big fan of the current treatment model for addiction centers.
Absolutely.
No, we're very disappointed. We're 100% in agreement with you, because they don't work, or they're simply not long
too high of a rate of recidivism. It's too high a rate of recidivism.
And somehow they accepted. They said, well, that's how it works. You're going to relapse.
That's
there's
right.
so much chance you're going to relapse. And
that's right.
That's just a money decision. That's just making money. It's wrong. For somebody suffering, it's like you're not really giving that. You're saying, well, we'll sort of help you. We'll give you a little, you'll have a bump while you're okay. It's like, no.
Yeah, I think it's become, just like the other hospitals is a business, has become a business. The business where the centers make a lot of money from the insurance company make a lot of money from giving the insurance and having some kind of arrangement with pharmaceutical companies. Of course, the pharmaceutical companies are making great money. So everybody's making great money from these people who are very sick.
That's exactly right.
Cancer is big business, right? If we can keep these people sick, but then hopefully they can keep coming back for treatments. So while they're sick, we can give them all these drugs and make a ton of money. And then, who cares what happens to them later on?
Exactly. And then, I wanted to ask you, because you do so much, it's so exciting to talk to you, but you do so much, and ketamine hasn't it been very successful with addiction?
Yes, I think it can be very helpful. Yeah.
Well, any kind of brain issue, apparently.
Yeah. Ketamine definitely very helpful. I remember treating this one patient. Got him quit smoking within a couple sessions. So that's a tough one. And but I want to mention stem cells. I think it's completely untapped territory, because animal studies on stem cells, giving alcoholic rats stem cells. This is fascinating. So these are alcoholic rats, and they're just drinking. They're giving them all kinds, lots of, high concentration alcohol drinks. And then
I'm laughing because I'm just imagining.
No, I got 15 jokes lined up. Just let me know.
I gotta have that drink, stagger around is so fun. And so I know these rats, what's interesting was that after they gave them stem cells, the volume of how much alcohol they drank was cut by, I think, between 70 to 80%. Drastic
What?
reduction. They simply don't have as much of a drive.
Right.
Yeah, and then
Why aren't we doing this for
but
people?
what's funny was another example. I think it simulates the rehab situation because they actually cut these rats off alcohol. So they made them they stopped their access for alcohol for 10 days. And then they gave them either stem cells or control, or placebo. And then I think it's four days later, they gave them free access to alcohol and see what happens. And the rats that got the stem cells, they drank about 80% less. So they didn't, the
Yeah.
relapse behavior was drastically reduced.
It's fascinating. That is really fascinating.
Fascinating. It's so great that and you're doing studies on that. And that's what your academy is about, right? It's all
Right,
about
it's all about education because I'll tell you what, it's a little disappointing, but I understand, doctors, doing treatments and having their own practice is a business, but still, there's certain principles, right? You need to still be a doctor. These
Yeah.
days, there's so much information. Who we are now, we are the teacher, we're the guide. So it's not like we are the only source of information, but we're the place where we can discern information for patients. But so many doctors that are doing stem cell therapy are not really educating themselves adequately when it comes to the science and the evidence.
Yeah.
Guess who they're relying on? They're relying on the reps from the stem cell company to tell them what to do. And that's just not the way to be
No.
a doctor. So I'm trying to
no,
help
you're
the doctors
getting to
who
what
actually
somebody
want
off
to
the
learn.
street that was been trained by a company, like to say what they say and telling a doctor that should have deeper understanding.
Believe
Right?
me, these reps are telling doctors anyone can do this. So we're going to show you how to do it. Anyone can do it. But
Oh my God, that's
you got
scary.
to ID. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's so much
not good.
nuance to it. Yeah, people are doing it wrong. Simple thing about injecting, they're getting the cells from a vial and they're pushing it into the vein. You can't do that because first of all, the cells have a tendency to cluster. So they can form a ball. A ball of 10 cells can cause an embolism. So there
Oh,
are
wow.
small vessels, it can cause an embolism.
Right.
Or, the fact that most doctors don't know that when you put mesenchymal stem cells in a concentrated fluid, they can cause this hypercoagulation state. So people can have all of a sudden, right? There's more clot possibilities. So you don't want to do that. You want to dilute the cells in certain proportions. So these are things most doctors are, unfortunately, I think are still not doing.
Yeah, and unaware of. And that's just your education is imperative.
Yeah.
Wow.
But hopefully the word is getting out. And
Are
what's
you
funny,
doing stem cells for beauty stuff? Are you doing any of PR?
yeah,
that kind
yeah.
of
Stem cells, I've done injections into the face and hair. It works beautifully. But now I put stem cells into a face cream. The cells are not alive. I don't want people to have
face
it wrong.
cream. I
Yes.
thought your face cream. It's quite good. I'm not gonna lie.
I think it's the best cream there is. I mean, that's the only thing I'm willing to put on my face. Seriously, I freak out if I travel and I forget my cream. But this is it's 100% natural, which is I'm a stickler about that, just because as an anti-aging doctor, I know what all these chemicals can do, all these synthetic
So know
ingredients.
that the skin absorbs everything.
Oh, yeah.
It's
What
like,
goes on the body goes in the body.
exactly. And
Absolutely.
everybody sort of thinks it's like, oh, I'll just put this on and it doesn't matter. And it was interesting. I do a lot of holistic healing stuff, and I have a friend who does a scan. I'm sure you've done stuff like this, right? He does a scan and he actually saw, this was a while ago. He was like, has anybody put anything toxic on your skin? Because you're registering a toxic thing. And I was having some weird stuff with my skin. And it was probably, I was probably on a set you know,
Mhm.
doing something and had some makeup. No, not nobody intentionally put something, but you know, those chemicals are intense, and we don't, you know, we don't think about it. We think, oh, you know, it's cheaper if I get this. And what's really sad is the quality products are more expensive because it's harder to make. I don't know. It's probably harder to make
Well,
it.
you know,
simple.
I think the way I made it, I think people end up saving money, even though it's not cheap, but it's all in one. So you don't need, I think it's ridiculous to have this full lineup of, you know, toner and serum and eye cream
Morning
and day
cream,
cream and
night
night
cream,
cream.
day
There's
cream, in
I
between.
don't think it's necessary. I think because we're making our product deep penetrating, so it goes really deep into your skin. You don't need to, you know, put a toner and a serum. I mean, the serum is inside the cream. Everything is in there. It gets absorbed deeply, and it's 100% natural. So you end up saving, you know, you don't have to buy a whole lineup. You just this
Yeah,
one,
yeah, yeah.
that's all I use.
No,
I just
and
wash my
you're right. And this is so good to know.
face.
For my personal bank account and everything else. I know, seriously, because I mean, all of us ladies out there that are listening, and to be honest, Bobby's very into his
So I was
Facebook,
going to say some men too.
and
Yeah.
some
Oh, yeah,
men too. I
very
mean,
much.
so into it. But it's like this lineup, and it's a joke because it become it also becomes so like, I don't know, you just don't know what to do. And it's like, I've got this one for that one and that one for, you know, like it's like taking too many vitamins. Because I also think that that's like redundant at some level. I
I
think
think
you
it's too
should
much.
only take what you're not getting from your food, right? If you're not
Exactly.
getting it, you know, like why I think it's so important to take minerals, because our soil is depleted, you know?
Exactly.
So anyway.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
there's so
actually
much
my
information
philosophy.
on, there's so much misleading information about supplements, about skincare on TikTok. So,
Oh,
Mm.
no, listen, TikTok is a massive influencer. So, when you've got all these young gals in their early 20s and 30s, and I'm not an ageist, but when you've got them coming out with information that you need to have this skincare routine. And so, all these young gals in their late 20s and early 30s are getting the whole kit and caboodle of 12 and 14 things to do to themselves, from their scalp to their face. And you're thinking, where's the backup for this? So, yeah, that's why podcasts like this are so vital with the information
Yeah.
you're sharing.
Yeah, I mean, I packed so much into this one product because not only it has umbilical cord derived stem cells with all the regenerative components that it contains, but also has a bunch of peptides. So peptides are like new form of medicine. You know, these are very much either completely natural or very much resembling the natural molecule and exerts very specific biological function. So these peptides have been studied to reduce wrinkles, reduce inflammation, promote collagen production. I mean, real results, clinical results, you know, before and after within like 28 days or so. So these are really fully supported by clinical research. So I have all these peptides, and then I have all these natural herbal extracts, natural oils, some are very potent.
Wow.
Some have sun protection properties. I don't use sunscreen. I don't like the idea of the sunscreen because of what it contains, because I think I may end up doing more harm than good. So, but my cream contains sun protection, UV protection.
What's the UV protection in your cream?
I can't remember which particular herb. I think there are a
Oh,
couple
it's
herbs
an herb.
that have those. Yeah, have
No,
those.
I'm all for that. That's exciting. That's
Yeah,
exciting to hear,
and we had
because, you know,
uh-huh.
sunscreen is so, I mean, you know, but then there's that toss up because you're like, God, I don't want to not go out with protection of some sort, you know, and I'm
Yeah.
in the sun a lot.
You know what? I think it's
Not
I
Melissa.
think
She's got a
okay.
hat. She's
First
good.
of all, okay. Do we know why there's skyrocketing skin cancer cases? Is it because we have more sun these days compared to a few hundred years ago? Or is it because our food is so bad? We're eating so much worse, and our environment is so toxic. So
Yeah.
really think, because I think about the population that are indigenous, right? In certain countries, these primitive cultures, they're in the sun all the time. Do you hear about people getting skin cancer?
No, exactly. No,
They're
you're
very
right.
tanned, they're very dark. I love the sun, so I'm in the sun all the time. But my skin, I don't worry about my skin because I'm eating very healthy. You know, I do stem cell treatments, and then I have an incredible skin, routine. So this cream, that's the only thing I put on my face.
Best way to protect your skin is to cut, like Melissa wears huge hat, I try to be good, wearing a hat. No, but the truth is, then don't get it, don't have,
Yeah, I go on the beach looking like Sia, like the singer. I'll get like a big hat coming over me. I don't care.
yeah,
Well, I don't wear any hat. Like, it's like, oh, please give me the sun.
like you. But
Husband's also a hairstylist, so if I don't wear a hat and that hair color's fading, I'm going to hear about it. The sun does fade your hair color.
I see. Yeah. So, and in the cream, you also have all kinds of antioxidants and also prebiotics. So everything that's good to nurture your skin's,
It really,
natural
I'm not kidding you. I really have used it, and I bought it, when I did the Photona, and I really like it. I really do. And
Wonderful.
it's like I've tried, a million products over the years, and I'm really pleased. So
Yeah, well, just for people who are curious, the cream is called Chara Omni, so Chara, OMNI. And so this cream really came about because I have personally bought all these products. I wasn't looking at, I was a stem cell doctor. I was trying to heal people from the inside out, right? I'm treating all kinds of chronic conditions. I wasn't thinking about the face. It took me a long time to get the Photona machine into our clinic because it wasn't part of what I thought was my purpose as a doctor. But
Right.
Selfishly, I wanted to look good myself. So I was buying creams that I think are going to be good for me. And I was, looking at maybe technologies. That's how I came upon Photona. And now we have at the clinic.
Yes.
But Photona, I at first I want to do it on myself. That's how I met Sydney, our nurse, was that I went somewhere to get treated by her because, I wanted to regenerate my own skin. But the cream came about because I was, buying expensive products, from, for example, Korean products, and they said it's all natural. I said, great, it's all natural. And then when I started using it, I was like, well, I'm not sure, it's okay. I'm not that impressed. And then I flip over the bottle to take a closer look at the ingredients, and I realize it's not all natural. Like all these things that I absolutely cannot pronounce, and all these, all these ingredients that really have nothing to do with being natural. So I thought, this is
And
my
you, with your
I was going
education,
to say, if you can't pronounce them as a doctor, there's no hope for mankind.
yeah.
oh
So
my God, Joy, you have to come back because there's no end to this conversation. we kind of reached we speak to our guests for 30 minutes only so that they'll go to your podcast, because you have a podcast, and I'd love for you to say what your podcast is.
yeah, it's just called the Dr. Joy Kong podcast. Very simple. But I have a YouTube channel as well. There are a lot of great videos. I'm very much about education. Don't trust my word. Here, I'm educating you. I'm showing you research stats. So it's under my name, Joy Kong M.D. So anyone look up Joy Kong, and so Kong, it's the Kong. And they will be, I think anyone that's interested in regeneration, staying young, and they really, owe it to themselves to understand it a little bit more
100%.
about. Yeah.
And you're so good at education. You're so good at explaining the things that you do in such a very clear and understandable way. So I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you, Mariel.
So great to have you on. We're
Yeah, you guys are a lot of fun.
Thank you for coming on.
yeah,
Yes,
really.
yes.
It's so
Absolutely.
great to talk to somebody who's also like, we talk about it. It's like, selfishly, I wanted to find something for, like that's girls talking. That's girls talking about like, look, you want to.
Yeah, I know some people say, oh, I don't have any problem with aging, I'm getting older and I'm fine with that. Yeah, but do you really want to decline? Are you really proud of declining and having more aches and pains and declined,
Right.
mental function? Is
But
that
you
just
don't, yeah,
want?
our whole thing is you don't have to. That's a choice. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to work to stay on top of it. So what you're doing and sharing with people is so important. So thank you. So you'll have to come back and we'll talk all about that next time.
Wonderful. We'll love to come
Thank you
back and
so
chat
much.
with you too.
Yeah, it's
All right.
awesome. Thank
Bye-bye.
you so much, Joy.
Okay, you're welcome.
Well, that was so much fun. What an interesting conversation. I mean, well, and selfishly, I want to know more about my skin.
Skin, brain. That, one thing that I didn't get to ask her, we got to have her back on alone, is I've been reading incredible research on what stem cell therapy does for the joint trouble, your joint pain. So, I mean, there's so much more that we could talk about, and what.
God, oh my God, it's good. I mean, all those things were, I mean, they keep presenting in my life and your life. And I think that people need to know, what I just want people to know is there's all kinds of different information out there for mental health and like addiction.
Yeah.
Like and like she said, these old systems are breaking down and they're not working. Like you said, there's so much recidivism. There's, people are not getting solutions out of a lot of money being put into systems that are broken. So
Yep.
that's, and really that's why we're here. I just want to say, hey, we found this and they seem to be having some success over here.
That's right.
That's why we talk to people like Joy, and what a joy it was.
Joy in my heart.
Joy Kong. Anyway, thank you all for listening. What a wonderful show. We appreciate you so much. And remember that you're listening to Out Comes the Sun, and also you are supporting the Mariel Hemingway Foundation, which is a resource navigator. We just want to help people find solutions for their mental health problems or addictions or whatever it is, whatever solutions there might be in their area. Now, remember, we are not there yet. So if you look us up online, marielhemingwayfoundation.org, you will only see a landing page because we haven't built that yet, but we are in the process of doing it. So just remember that Out Comes the Sun helps the Mariel Hemingway Foundation for Mental Health as a resource navigator. And we'll see you again next week. Thank you all.